Hey traders from around the world, what's going on? It's me, Jeremy Alexander Newsome with reallifetrading.com. I hope you're doing absolutely tremendous. So we got the pink line here on the chart, which is of course the famous Mr. Squiggles. And this was kind of our plan really since the 13th of March, so 6 days ago. Anticipating this gap to kind of fill, this retest gap right here, and force a trade down to the 100 simple, which I mean, we've never done that before. All right, I don't think we've ever traded down after a bunch of black days and got a nice lower shadow off of the 100 simple or anything, but it does appear that that is kind of acting as a little bit of a support for today. Today was a fantastic day for day traders and or option sellers. A lot of traders locked in some fantastic premium with some put sales and bull put spreads or bear call spreads. I got triggered into this Baidu bear call spread. Is a 280, 290 for April, which at this point is pretty far away. We'll see what's happening there. Also got the Condor on Tesla, and I know Steve over there from Scotland is looking at doing some put sales down here in this general area on Tesla. So overall, to VIX, I mean the VIX had a nice little spike today, got up into the low 20s. So the high of the day, 2187. Sounds like the weather in Minnesota. And with the VIX being up there, right, you just get some nice premiums for some option sales. Here's Apple, ticker symbol PYPL. And as you'll often know from the post that I made, the Winter Portfolio, 3rd edition, that we sent out just hours ago, Apple pulled back to that green ellipse, or at least the beginning of it. So we actually didn't quite hit the 50 EMA, got very, very close. And also the 100 simple got pretty close to there. So we're starting to get into that zone. Hasn't hit it yet. I think today is probably the day we start bouncing. But of course, if we get a gnarly lower shadow like this, like we got today on most of the markets, and we gap down again tomorrow, or we close below the low of today, we'll likely see some lower moves. Here's the Dow Jones ETF, which is a nice little triangle right now. And it's just kind of hanging out at the 100, and of course here's the Qs. The QQQ trade down today almost to the 50 EMA, and of course Facebook. What a brilliant gap on ticker symbol FB today. So Facebook having a really solid move, a bunch of white candles gapping down, and in fact it opened below the low of that ginormous white candle. So of course you're going to have some buyers who are trapped and who are losing money. My good buddy Jason was asking, he actually bought some calls on Friday and fortunately / unfortunately got trapped, but at the same time mentioned at open, he was asking, should you sell those calls and buy some puts? And I said yes. So hopefully he made more on those puts than he lost on the calls, because that was a fantastic trade down. And during that time, a lot of real life traders got into some put sales very far away on Facebook. A lot of traders hopping into some Julys down there at 145. That's brilliantly low. And here's the weekly on Facebook. I like the 50 EMA at 168.22. I think we could hit that either this week or next week, but that will likely act as a pretty good support as it did back in this general area. So I'm expecting it. If it's going to make it down there, that would be a buy the dip, obviously. And of course, if not, that's fine. But I do think Facebook could have a little bit of a lower low, because that's a fantastic bearish gap right there. Shout outs to all the traders who got a chance to just soil Facebook though this morning, because here was the trade setup from Latoya, 15 minutes at market open, 176 by 176.60. Here's the 1 minute chart, and that's how she was playing this one. As Latoya does play the 1 minute. And for those in the morning room, I mean, here was the 176 by 176.60. This was the setup right here. Early in the morning, about 15 minutes into market open, got this little double top. She was looking at shorting below this white candle, a little bit of a pennant pattern. You got some lower highs. Her entry was right here with the stop right there. I mean, that is a monster play. And there was a lot of real life traders who just absolutely wrecked Facebook today. Or they won small, right? I mean, Thomas Wong, Robert Falco, a few other traders won with some small gains on Facebook. So hey, if you're a day trader and you're at real life trading, there's a large chance you made some decent coinage today. And shout out to one of my other traders who born and raised down there in the deep south of Georgia, Mr. Joshua Jackson, who's up here in Nashville visiting with me over the last few days. Trading together. We did a lot of back trading yesterday, and I gotta give some love to this dude as he played ANET like a legend. Here's a black candle gapping down, so that's a retest gap, and he looked to play the retest of that. So here's the 5-minute chart, and look at that retest. So ANET, Arista Networks, a lot of buying, trade up in here, and as it started pulling back into the 10, he was shorting, rode down that wave for a 1/2 hour gain, and that's a fantastic trade on ANET. So Josh, I mean, you're right here. Congratulations. Very well done. That's ANET, and OLED was the one for me today. This was just an incredible, sensational, bearish gap and go right there. You had a very pretty, cute, small white inside day candle right here. You also had some buying right here. So there's a little bit of a support right about that price. And we were opening below the low of that giant white candle from back in September. So realistically, OLED had all the recipe for a rollover. Here's the 5-minute chart, which you guys know I play off the 5. And you had a white candle in the first 5 minutes. Here's how I played it. Pre-market low. Couldn't be any easier. Support right there. Broke support. I shorted the retest. Nice little rollover. Crushed OLED. Feeling good about it. Had a few traders request Wells Fargo. Took some WFC. My good buddy Adrian Lee had a March 52.50 put sale that expired worthless. Last Friday. So Adrian, congrats. And the ironic part is there's still some premium down there on Wells Fargo for any of my option sellers. Not tons, but there's a little bit. I believe earnings is in the not too distant future on Wells Fargo. Let me go check really quick. WFC, April 13th, yep. So just keep in mind that earnings is around the corner. Some put sales down here do have premium, but you probably only want to consider that if you don't mind owning some shares. So right now in Wells Fargo, congratulations, Adrian, for that put sale expiring worthless. And at this point, I mean, again, with earnings right around the corner, you have two plays on it. You're either playing it bullish off of this support, hoping that it bounces, or you're waiting until earnings and you're going to see if it's going to gap down below here for a great bearish day trade or come all the way back down to 48 for some swing trade or long-term trading action. Google, ticker symbol GOOGL. Here's the long-term moving averages, and we didn't quite make it down to the 100 today, but it did have a very nice gap, right? Just the cute open. Here's the 5-minute chart. Again, this was a retest gap, and realistically, I mean, very, very large amount of stocks have some great setups. But there's the breakdown, there's the retest, there's the rollover. Very easy setup on Google. Nice breakdown, good looking trend. So what to do on a swing trade? I do think this gap probably fills. Again, most of my traders are looking at some spread plays based on the volatility in the VIX, some bull put spreads, things like that. Watch out, keep your eyes out on Google here tomorrow. I would like to see the market actually gap down tomorrow morning at open and trade higher. Would make a lot of sense to me. So we'll see if Google participates in that. But right now, I don't have any particular trade on Google, but I'm keeping my eyes on it for sure for some options. Gold trading very sideways. So here's the weekly chart. I had a trader request gold and silver. So gold's just exceptionally sideways right now. This is the monthly chart. 100 simple moving average on a monthly acting as a resistance. I mean, if you bought gold at this exact same price in 2013, and we're breaking even. I mean, that's 5 years ago. So yeah, gold, very, very sideways. So if you're playing it, I'd probably consider doing it with options or something very long term, meaning you're doing an iron condor, you are having some shares and doing some covered calls. Obviously, there's a few really good moves, right? Like here and here. Those are some great moves you could take advantage of. But at this present moment in time, we're not really at a great resistance or a great support. So I would just say on both gold and silver, either you're longer term owning the actual physical metal, or you're just sitting back doing a covered call, owning some shares, or doing some type of long-term iron condor and just embracing this really sideways action. Here's PayPal. So we did exit one of our bullish trades on PayPal today. We had a swing trade that we got in not too long ago, and PayPal had a little bit of a gap down, trapping a few folks, but again, a nice little lower shadow coming in on PayPal. Earnings are in May, so we might end up trying this one again overall. But what I'm looking at this particular point in time is this little slight trend to continue. Here's the 100 simple, and the 100 simple is down there at 77. A lot of lower shadows today, right? So again, if we take out the lower shadows in the next 3 or 4 days on most of these stocks, we likely will go lower. Otherwise, with these lower shadows, I'm expecting a bounce. I'm still buy the bounce kind of guy. And anyway, we locked in a small gain on PayPal. That was kind of cool. Hopefully we can see if this continues higher. Here's the weekly. Weekly so far, a little on the bearish side, but we'll just see exactly what PayPal ends up doing. Nike took some more NKE, high wave candle, earnings right around the corner on Nike. In fact, March 22nd, which is this week. Here's the long-term moving averages on Nike, and what I'm expecting on Nike is probably a small gap in one direction or another. Pretty insightful stuff, Newsome. Almost a perfect doji today by 1 penny. 1 penny away from an absolute perfect doji on Nike, which means very indecisive. Higher lows, relative highs. I would love to see Nike actually gap above the long-term moving averages. Above this all-time high, about 70, 50, 70, 63, something like that. That would be a really strong bullish gap. I do feel like Nike's going to start running here pretty soon. Here's the weekly chart, and really it's just a nice consolidation. So the only way I would consider going bearish on Nike is if it gaps down on earnings below 62. Otherwise, a gap down 62 or higher is probably longer term viable. And of course, a gap up above 68 would be pretty good. And a gap up again above 70, 50 should also be pretty toasty on Nike. And last but not least, here is US Steel. I had a lot of traders asking me, is this a Morningstar reversal on US Steel? And the answer is yes. Obviously, it did not trigger today because it did not break above 40.78. So if you're looking at playing US Steel, I would want a close above that line. Why a close? Because it's a very, very super powerful strong resistance, right? Here's the monthly chart, and that's the 200 simple on a monthly. Very big key resistance. So you want to close above there. And then once a close above there happens, you'd look to, based on that candle, play that dip and buy low, sell high on US Steel. Now the good news is some traders, again, who are option selling experts, getting around this $32 to $28 put sale area for some time in April, May, or June looks to me like at least a pretty decent buy low, sell high spot on US Steel. Pretty pumped about this. Wednesday, another stock review. Send me your requests, ladies and gentlemen. Happy to review them. Thank you so much for being a real life trader. You are all wonderful, and I will see you later. And until then, remember, love life, live life, and trade it. Bye-bye.